Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. I am Cyrus Webb, joined by my co host, Dalsimer, the Amazon award winning author of the book by the same name. I want to welcome you guys joining us on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X. Going to bring in our friends over on Instagram so they can be a part of our live and our broadcast, and then our friends over on Amazon Live as well. For you guys joining us on Amazon, welcome. You all are watching It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day, the book written by Dalsimer. This is actually our wrap up of season number 2. And we have an announcement to make about season number 3 as well. So make sure you guys stay to the end. If you guys have not gotten Allie's book over on the Amazon side, you guys can get it in print. You can get the Kindle edition and the audiobook. You see it either here in this corner or down below. So make sure you guys do grab that. For those of you who are joining us on the simulcast, you will see the link to buy Allie's book there too. But Allie, my friend, how you doing?
Well, good morning or afternoon. I'm doing great. I'm doing really great. How are you today?
I'm doing really good. I can't believe we've made it to the end of
I
another
know.
season. So this is going to be our recap of this season. Allie, can you believe we went through went through another season here?
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. It just flew by too. I can't even believe that we're already I can't believe we're at the end of the year. That's just crazy to me.
Well, yeah, that is another good point, Allie. That is a really good point. And I want to say, Allie, I have definitely enjoyed this season. I'm so excited that we're going to be able to actually literally finish up the book in season number 3. So I'm excited about talking about that later. I want to talk about, though, something you and I have discussed before, because what I want our audience to take away from your story, that I think there's so many lessons we can glean, Allie, is that this is something you never even intended. Forget about the podcast. You never intended even to publish this thing. How does
Right.
it feel to know that something that you, again, taking your own advice from the book, just was able to start what it's turned into?
Yeah, that's such a great point. It's so bizarre if you think about it. It's just if you had asked me, when I first finished writing this down, are you going to have a podcast and be a published author and have awards and all these great things? I'd have been like, no, no one is ever seeing this.
Yeah.
I would never share these things publicly.
Mhm.
Um, but having done it and having gone through the experience has honestly been transformative. I feel like my entire life took a different trajectory. And there's the quote, there's still time to change the road you're on, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I changed the road I was on. I shifted and made a sharp left or sharp right or whatever you want to call it, and ended up on a very different path and in a very different place than I would have been had I not stepped boldly into uncertainty and put my story out there.
Yeah. So this brought up a question when I was prepping for today, Allie, something I've never asked you before.
Oh,
And I thought about it today as I was thinking about, hey, mom, good to be see my mom. My mom's over there on Facebook.
hi.
You join us. And that is this. You write about in the book and you talk about it in a couple of the chapters about running for public office. And then, of course, life after that. I'm curious if you would have even continued life in the public, which you are doing now, had it not been for that experience.
If I would have continued life in the public if I'd never run for office?
Yeah.
That is a fabulous question. And I'm not really sure how to answer it, except, you know, I think not. I think not. I think that bold move gave me the confidence to take the step.
Mm,
Because if nothing else came from the campaign, and several positive things did come from it, but if nothing else had come from it, one thing I learned about myself is that I can do anything.
yeah.
I mean, I was just scared beyond reason to do that, to run for a national level office.
Hmm.
It's crazy, even looking back, to think that I actually did that. But having done it, looking back, I truly realized internally, I can do anything.
Yeah.
And so, no, No, I don't think I would have. I wouldn't be here now if I hadn't done that. But that's what they say, right? Like each step you take, each
Hmm.
little incremental thing you do is another step along the way that leads you to where you're going.
Yeah.
And if you don't take a step, you end up diverging.
Yeah. And that's an interesting tie-in to what was week one of this season with the quote, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, Allie. Because you say in there this, the choice to complete a task or not is yours and yours alone. And so what I thought about was yours is a perfect example of changing the meaning of winning for ourselves. Because even though maybe the run for office didn't turn out the way maybe you had hoped, it opened up the world that you're now in, right?
Yeah, and to that end, I didn't there was a path to victory. There was an actual path to victory, but it was a narrow path.
Hmm.
And the chances are that I was not going to be successful on the first run. Very few people are. So, what the first run does is it sets you up for the next run. And during the next run, you have the recognition, you have the team in place, you have the systems in place,
Hmm.
you have the processes in place, and you have the knowledge that you gleaned from that first run. And
Hmm.
so, in running for office, there was a longer term plan there that ultimately I thought would have led to success.
Yeah.
For another number of reasons, I didn't pursue a second run, um, but I think that I think that that's a lesson that you can really put out broadly, and in terms of the choices you make in completing the task.
Yeah.
I didn't actually complete that task
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't pursue the second run,
Mm-hmm.
but it was succeed. Going back to the very first part of what you said, it does. I did redefine success because our campaign resulted in specific policy changes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll be honest, the candidate actually flat out stole our platform. And I can speak that now because he's dead. But
Mm-hmm.
he flat out stole our platform. He copied our logo. He literally plagiarized our materials and put them out as his own. So even though I didn't get credit and my team, who worked their butts off, didn't get credit, still the things that we worked on came to fruition. And that to me means the run was successful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is so funny. Send Hill's machine hello to you over there on IG. You just sparked another question in me, and feel free to push back on me
All right.
on this. I love it when we kind of are able to go back and forth. Could it be that maybe you did pursue the second run, but it was a different direction, like where you are right now?
Mm, yes and no, maybe, because my intent right now is definitely to avoid political issues and political controversies. Although I don't particularly think human rights um, and those types of things are political issues. I think that they're just people issues.
Yeah.
Um, but in a sense, it's a second way to influence people in a positive way so that
Yeah.
they can be the best they can be, but on a personal level rather than at a broad societal um, level through policy making and lawmaking, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
yes and no is my answer.
Got
How's
it.
that for
Got it.
equivocation?
Well, well, look. Well, that ties in perfectly to week number two of this season. There, the quote that you mentioned. There's still time to change the road you're on. So that's
Yeah.
why I thought was so interesting. When I was prepping for this. I'm like, it's so. That's what made me go back to, you know, would I even know who Allie Dalsimer is if you had not run,
Yeah.
regardless of the outcome. If you had not run, which was part of this journey of this book that then introduced us.
Hmm.
There are so many things I thought about. Like, wow, life could be so different. You know.
Yeah, life could be so different, honestly. I mean, if a number of things hadn't happened, then a number of things wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Um, because I started my original plan was to be a criminal profiler, but that didn't work out.
Mhm.
But I did end up spending 30 years in the environmental arena, in the natural resources management and policy world, and had a good reputation there. And I did well there. And when that job was terminated during the first Trump administration, I had multiple opportunities to become re-involved in that. But and it's just who I am and how I'm wired. I'm one of these people who, if there are two options and one is to sit in traffic until you get to a stoplight and the other one is to drive 3 miles out of your way and take a lot of lefts and rights so that you don't have to stop, I'm taking the longer route because I just don't want to stop at that stoplight, right? And so for me, getting back into the natural resources management policy realm in a different capacity just felt too much like stopping, or maybe making a U-turn or a do-over, or I don't know. It just didn't feel right. Like I just didn't want to do it again. It's like, okay, well, I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Like I tried surfing, right? Like surfing was awesome. People love surfing. I went surfing. I tried surfing. I got up, I stood up. It was awesome. I'm good. I don't need to do it anymore, right? So I did the environmental career, spent 30 years on it. I made a lot of positive changes. I met some amazing people, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So that's how I ended up writing. No, actually, that's how I ended up running for office. I got involved in the whole, well, the pandemic hit. See, this is all interrelated, right? Like life is not simple. Life is a messy, complicated process, because if the pandemic hadn't happened, then I never would have run for office. And if I hadn't run for office, then I never would have realized that I really am a competent, capable individual. And if I hadn't really internalized that, I would never have had the courage to publish my book.
Yeah.
So you know what? We can just thank the pandemic for you and me sitting here today. There you go.
Well, let me ask you this question, because it's a question that you say that we need to ask ourselves, and it's still in this particular chapter, Allie. There's still time to change the road you're on. You say we must ask ourselves what truly and deeply fulfills me. When you look at the Allie Dalsimer of today, what is the answer to that question?
My relationship with my children. If I had to give everything up in order to spend time with my children, I had to make a choice.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a difficult choice for me.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that interesting? Because that ties into two things that we've already talked about. You're running for office. You're making the decision to run for office, and you're writing this book because this book is initially for them.
Yeah, and actually, the reason I ran for office is because, I mean, I'll be honest, my son asked me to. On behalf of every young person in the nation, in his generation, he asked me to run on their behalf. How do you say no to that? How do you say no to that? So, yeah. And because of the kids who encouraged me to publish, I did. So they make me a better person.
Love that. Love that. Well, you're definitely living that for sure. That leads us to the third chapter that we discuss. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. You say this in this particular chapter, again, questions to us. You say, so what would foster your true inner joy? If you're not sure, think about any regrets you may have and ask yourself, is it really too late to take that trip, earn that degree, or get that puppy? So I think the idea of inner joy, what do you want our audience to think about that based on what you just said about where for you, really your joy is coming from? What do you want the audience to think about when it comes to themselves and their own lives, Allie?
So I'm gonna answer that in a little bit of a different way, if that's okay.
Sure.
Because that quote about all we have to decide is, what to do with the time we have left. That is from Gandalf, from the Lord of the Rings series. And he's talking with, for those who don't know, Gandalf is a wizard, and he's talking to Frodo, who is a hobbit, who has a mission to take this ring of power, which is a symbol of pure evil, and he has to take it into the heart of the enemy's land and throw it into the fires of Mount Doom and destroy it so that he can destroy the evil that is out there. And ironically, I'm rereading the series right now because I love it. I think I've read it, I don't even know how many times, because I always see something new. And I just, I'm audiobooking it. So I just listened to that quote a few days ago.
Oh, wow.
And that moment is when Frodo's on this quest and it's very hard and he just wants to give up. There's, I won't go into the whole story. It's very convoluted, but he's at the brink of giving up. And, Gandalf says, all we have to do is just decide what do we do? Like, how do we choose to live our lives when we go forward? And the, the, the meaning behind that, at least for me, how I interpret it is you have to push through the hard times. You have to find what is truly deeply meaningful in your life, overcome your fears, overcome the myriad obstacles that you are going to face, and just do it, right? And just push forward, make the choice to go forward. Because the reason people don't get that puppy, take that trip, get that degree is either they're just lazy and they don't want to, in which case I would say, do you really want it? Or they're afraid for some reason.
Yeah.
Afraid of failure, afraid of success, afraid of responsibility, whatever it is, there's some underlying internally driven obstacle, usually fear, that is preventing you from going on. And you have to just really think, you know what? I have always wanted to do this. It is important to me. And I am my own obstacle. The mountain is me, right? And just really push through it. And that's what I want people to take from this, to really embody that people, no matter who you are, someone is facing an even tougher. There's literally one person out of 8 billion who is no one is facing a worse situation than they are, right? So chances are there's at least one person in the world who has, who is facing bigger odds than you. So take heart from that and realize that you can conquer, you can achieve, and you can pursue whatever your dream is. You just have to choose what to do with the time you have left.
Yeah. Such a great point. I want to say, for those of you who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day, based on the book by my co-host, Allie Dalsimer. I'm Cyrus Webb. Hello to Roger Long. Hey, I'll see you this weekend. Good to see you, Roger. Kyle Dalsimer is joining us over there on IG as well. Glad you could be with us as well. We're doing our season recap of season 2. Also, we're going to let you guys know about season 3. Our final season is going to be coming up at the beginning of 2026. We're going to tell you about that too. I want to go to the next chapter here, Allie. Regret and Fear are twin thieves who would rob us of today, by Robert Hastings. And there's a point that you make there about fear, and you say this in the book. Fear can hinder us, serving to block our path. By recognizing that fear-driven obstacles are self-made, we take the first step to conquering our fear and overcoming its obstacles. So what has helped you, Allie, to get out of your own way?
Yeah, and that does lead. This book is, the subtitle is A Journey to Self-Discovery, with each chapter being a step. And so I kind of moved from last chapter to this chapter with my step there in my last answer. But the thing that has helped me, honestly, and we just talked about it, is realizing that I have the power and the capacity to do it. And the thing that I've really come to believe and embrace at a very deep level is that we all are born with whatever we need to achieve our true destinies. And once a person really embraces that, then you just have to tap into it.
Love that. So the last thing I want to ask you about, Allie, in this chapter is probably one of my favorites, and it's one I think that a lot of people can relate to. And I think for myself, when I think about it, it's one of those things all of us have to remember. It goes back to how we began the conversation. Better to be a has-been than a never was. The Cecil Parkinson quote there. There you talked about the run for Congress, but I want to talk about what you mentioned there, and I think this is such a big point for our audience. You say, not until the campaign was over did I realize that my running served as an inspiration, not just to my followers, but also to my opponent. And then that was part of the story. Actually, you shared that earlier, but you say this: what matters more than the outcome, though, is that I took the plunge. I stepped into an unknown abyss and embraced an uncertain future. Pursuing our ambitions, no matter what those are, is magical and precious and needs nurturing and encouragement. If you have a dream, go for it. So, as you reflect on this season and the messages, Allie, what do you hope people take away from not only your own lessons, but also your reminders about the importance of kind of how we began this whole show today about going for what it is that you want?
Well, I would hope that they would realize that they have what it takes. I think honestly, a lot of people don't know what their dreams are.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people don't take that self reflection time. If you think back to not only just pre internet days, pre social media, but if you think back to pre modern times,
Hmm.
going as far back as the Greeks and coming as far forward as, the pre industrial revolution, people spent a lot of time in introspection and in dialogue, in thinking and in quiet times. I remember my grandmother used to sit in the living room and look out the window. She had this little bay window, and she would just look out the window. And I remember thinking in my 20s, I was like, oh my God, how can you just sit there for like 3 hours and do nothing? Um, but I get it now,
Yeah.
because she would be thinking, and she wasn't doing nothing. She was very busy
Right.
as she sat quietly. And people who meditate, people who do deep breathing, they get it. They get it. And I I really think people need to take a step back. They need to shut off their devices. They need to turn off the news. They need to just go for a long walk in nature or sit quietly or whatever it is, and just really observe themselves. Not try to force any thoughts, but just be silent and be present. And you might be surprised what surfaces. And it takes practice. It's not something you can do right away. It does take some practice, because otherwise your brain's going like a million miles an hour. And there
Right.
are different strategies that people can employ to help them, do that. The circular ball and whatever. But I think that if people spent more time looking inward and trying to figure out what it is they enjoy. And if they don't know, trying different things. Try this, try that. Like I mentioned, I tried surfing. It was fun. It was great. But there are some people who live that surf life. That is
Right.
them. That is what they want to do. And
Right.
that wasn't me. That wasn't me. What is it you like to do on a rainy day when the power is out? What is it you enjoy most? And then think about, is that something that you can do for a living? Is that something you want to do for a living? Is it something you want as a hobby for the rest of your life? Because you only get one, right?
Mhm.
So I think that would be my biggest message from that, is
Got
just
it.
really take some time to think about it.
And with that, we end season 2 of It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day with Allie Dalsimer. Allie, it was another great season. I really enjoyed this. So, as I mentioned, season 3 will wrap up our discussion of Allie's book. That's going to be kicking off on Friday, January the 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. If you guys want to join us live on whatever platform you're joining us on, but also, of course, here on Amazon Live is where we will be as well. We have some questions and comments over on the Amazon Live side. I want to make sure I get those in, Allie. ESP says hello to you both. It is well within your house to write within your own story, that you speak in second person to encourage your victories. Oh, I like that too.
I do
Um,
too.
yeah. Hey, Wendy, good to be able to see you over there on the Amazon side as well. And also, Wendy says our children will push us. They have a lot of confidence in us. Oh, that says a
Yeah,
lot.
that does.
Okay. And ESP says, I always say failure is the fertilizer to our success. Failure is needed in the beginning to know how to handle issues. I like that too.
Mhm.
Appreciate all your comments. Keep those going. Really appreciate you guys being with us throughout this season. And Allie, enjoyed this. Looking forward to season 3 next year.
I am as well, Cyrus. It's going to be great. This has been a really meaningful time for me every week, and I appreciate it.
Well, same for me as well. I appreciate that. And we definitely thank you all for watching. It's okay not to be fabulous every day. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.